right, how's everybody doing today? I think I'm just going to skip over my usual showing of Crom the Destroyer trailer because I'm a couple of minutes late. I was over at John's Long Box. We were doing a show with Pizza Medi. We were doing our weekly comic book team up. I think it was number 7. So we're getting quite along. Thank you very much, Michael. Can hear me? Great. Let me see if I can minimize myself here. The beautiful picture of Cardinal in the background. So, how's everybody doing? If you are new here at Make Comics Great Again, my weekly, well, actually bi-weekly now, comic book, well, I don't know what you'd call it, comic book discussion about making great comics and going back to great comics. I am just going to talk for a few minutes about this topic, usually a random topic about making comics or something of the like for maybe 10 minutes today, maybe 15. We're going to cut it short just because I'll explain. But if you have any comments for me or any questions, just put them in the chat and I will get to the chat after I do my little spiel. And you can ask me about anything you want about my books that are coming out: Crom the Destroyer, The Valiant Heroes, Thomas Valiant. Links for those in the description, by the way, or about my channel, or about what I talked about tonight. Anything you want to ask, just stick it in the chat, and I ask if you could put either a question mark or tag me in it so that I know that you're talking to me. So the reason why I think that I'm going to have a bit of a shorter runtime for my rant at the first of this Make Comics Great Again is because I didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare this week for a topic as I usually do. Usually I spend at least some of my week delving into making comics or making visual media, things like that, there's some meat on that bone. I want to just study it. And I talk about that. But this week, I've been getting the print file ready for the Valiant Heroes, which we're going to go to print on really soon. It's just waiting on the printer and a couple of things. So I'm getting the print files done. On that note, just for everybody, just for your information for everybody, the Valiant Heroes was sold originally as an 80-page graphic novel, but it has now gotten to the size of 88 pages. Just to let everybody know, we have added additional pages for a couple of the books, and I put in a second backup story. It's only very short, but a second backup story while we were waiting for the printer. Anyways, so it's now 88 pages, and some of those pages are also getting transferred into the floppies because you can either get it as a single graphic novel or individual floppies, and the floppies are going to have a little bit of different material in them as well. Anyways, so that's what I was doing this last week. But there was something that happened to me over this last couple of weeks that I really wanted to discuss, and why I called this comic book Making Comics Great Again, Censoring the Past, unfortunately. So usually I go over every once in a while here some stuff to do with Will Eisner, to go back to the basics of how to create great comics. And the thing is that I don't know where my original copy of Will Eisner's book, there's 3 of them actually, they went to. I don't know where they went to, and I don't even remember if they were mine to begin with, because they could have been the libraries and nobody took them out and I just kept on taking them out. I can't remember. But anyways, so what I was using for my reference was the books as borrowed from an online library. But I thought to myself, I really would get more out of it if I just had physical copies of the book. So I bought physical copies of the 3 books, which are usually touted as the 3 manuals for making comics done by Will Eisner. I got them right here next to me. They are Expressive Anatomy for Comics and Narration. The other one is Comics and Sequential Art, which is the one I usually go over, and also Graphic Storytelling and Visual Narrative. Now, here's the thing. I just ordered these 3 books because I figured, I'll just order them from Amazon because they were there. I figured out, just went out to Amazon. They were there. I ordered them. It cost me about $100 for the 3. And I got those books in the mail, and I started just with the introduction to these books, and I just about threw them out the window. Why? Because it says these are printed by Norton Press, I do believe. And so they're a big publisher. But As I was reading the introduction says very specifically that these books were always meant by Will Eisner to be a living record of how to make comics. So, guess what they did? Well, they've added stuff to it, they've taken stuff away from it, and they have, in addition, censored some of the language. Now, they don't use that language when they say it in the introduction. They say, we got rid of some what's the word they use? They got rid of some anachronistic language. Now, I haven't gotten to a point where I could take these books I got in the mail and compare them to the online copy that I have from the library to see what changes they have made. But in this day and age, I do not trust anybody at any publishing company to take out words and parts of a book on my behalf. I do not trust anyone to do that after what we have gone through over the last 10, 15, 20 years minimum. And this is why. This is why I felt like taking these books and chucking them out the window. It's because I don't know what's actually Will Eisner's words in these books anymore. Now, here's a separate topic, I suppose, but it is the fact that I wondered why originally Will Eisner had not been canceled by now. Because quite honestly, I think Will Eisner should have been canceled by now with some of the books. Let me put up some Will Eisner stuff in the background just so you have something to look at. I know Cardinal is beautiful. My original creation with Renzo Rodriguez. Let's see. I have some stuff here from Will Eisner. Let's just put it in the background. It's just some a slideshow from his books. Anyways, so the thing is that I don't know why he hasn't been canceled, except I do know why. It's because he's Will Eisner. Because here's the thing, the Spirit book, which is his main book, right? It has a lot of stuff in it which today people would look at and call istic and phobic of many different kinds. The Spirit's backup character, his sidekick, was a what looked like a very short, dumpy man, but he's just a black guy, and he's like 1/3 the Spirit's height, and he looks like a guy from that would be drawn in the 1920s and 30s as a black man. Looked like someone with black face on. This is the sidekick of the Spirit, and the reason why the only reason why I can see why Will Eisner has not been canceled by mainstream comics right now is because, as I've always said on my channel with my normal Saturday videos, it's not about making money anymore for Marvel or DC or any of the other large indie companies. It's about awards. Awards is what they want because they use these awards to try to translate them into other kinds of medias beside comic books. So take your comic book and sell it as a Netflix pitch or something like that. Just you do it by saying, look at all their awards that it's gotten. And that's how they work right now. And again, went over that plenty of times on my normal Saturday videos. And that's why when you talk about the Eisner Awards, which are the major awards for comics, they could not be touched. And they could not touch Will Eisner because if they did, if they canceled them, if they got rid of him and then they got rid of his entire legacy, they would have to get rid of those awards. And those awards being the Academy Awards, basically, of comic books, they would tarnish the ability for mainstream comics to leverage those awards in order to get them to sell their product more. So that's the reason why I think Will Eisner has not been canceled. Not because they love his comics, not because they love the way he told everyone how to make comics, not the way he taught, not anything he did in his life, but because this award is useful to them. But anyway, my point on all of that is the fact that since that's the kind of thing that Will Eisner would do, he would use pictures that today people would see as being problematic, to say the least. And then we take a fast forward to these books that are published under his name by Norton Press, saying that they have taken out certain anachronistic things, which is to say, not understandable by modern reader things. I'm thinking to myself, okay, what exactly did you change here? Because I don't want to keep these books. I will. I probably will until I go on to some secondhand store and go find original copies that are not published by these people and order those and then get those in the mail. And then these ones can just go in a garbage can as far as I'm concerned. But this is what they're doing. This is censoring the past. And I've done videos about this for other things, for comics themselves. I've done videos talking a long time ago about what Marvel putting their stuff online. And for some of the X-Men books, they would digitally remove the cigar out of Wolverine's mouth because you couldn't show someone smoking in a comic book in modern day and age. And it's just ridiculous things. Or what else was there? There was certain lines that were taken out of some comics from, I think it was a Fantastic Four comic, at the very least is the one I ran across. There was a conversation between, let's put Will Eisner up in the background one more time, but just one more time, and then I'll put something else up. But I can remember running across, it was a Fantastic Four comic where the Thing was talking to Spider-Man, and they literally had to, when they put it in the digital format, not had to, but they omitted some of the dialogue because it was problematic. So yeah, this is why physical media is king. This is why not only physical media is king, but the older you can get, the better. And this is why I go back to old comics. This is why I have a collection of dictionaries from older dictionaries, right? And I look up words through layer after layer of year after year, going back, 1700s and things like that. This is why modern comics also drive me insane, and you cannot trust them. And that's one of the Will Eisner things. That's one of the things Will Eisner talked about so much. If you want to tell a story, especially a sequential art story, which is what he's talking about, you need to have trust between the reader and the creator. And there is no trust. I have zero amount of trust for any publisher right now. And as soon as they give me one minuscule reason to drop that book, I will drop it, because I have no trust in any of these publishers, because they will do the most hideous things to your favorite characters, to your favorite books, to anything and everything that they can, because of their ideological bent, or they're kowtowing to some ideological bent in order to sell things. And what they're doing is censoring the past. So this is my really my rant for today. This is not very much about making comics today. I just needed to rant about this, and I couldn't do it on my normal videos. But yeah, this is driving me insane, that I bought these books and that they're censored books. Will Eisner's How to Make Comics have been censored. And that's what you're going to find in your Indigo, Chapters, Barnes and Noble shelves right now. You're going to find How to Make Comics the censored way. And that's part of the reason why I started these videos. It was talking about how to make comics fun again. It was talking about how to make comics great again, which is to say, go back to the early ways of making comics, which we still have manuals for and people talking about, and use that information to make great comics again. And now I find out that, yes, even the manuals themselves are being censored and turned into, quote unquote, current day, modern, politically correct language, all this nonsense. Anyways, I'm going to go over to the chat and talk to a few people. Hopefully you're still here listening to me rant. And it was only about 15 minutes. That wasn't too bad. Usually I'm a little bit, we'll say, more long-winded, but that's all I wanted to go over today. Let's see who we have in the chat here today. Rex is here. First thing is Rex, of course. We have Michael. How you doing? Michael Bethel is here. Manny is here, and let's see, Final Fantasy is here. Vaz is here. He jumped over from John's Longbox. I saw you there, Vaz. Pedro is here. Stress Level is here. Sound Engraver has given me a $2 super chat and is here. Thank you very much, Sound Engraver. I always give Sound Engraver a shout out. If you want similar stuff to what I do, go over to Sound Engraver's channel. She talks a lot about story. She talks about making music, and she's trained in what she has. I always ask her this question, but she has I don't know what your degree is in. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry, Sound Engraver. I always forget. Anyways, she does very similar things to what I do on my channel with a very different bent, and it's very refreshing. So let's put some beautiful comics up in the background. Just since I was talking about, stuff being censored, let's go to. We'll put up some Batman here. Anyways, back to the comments. Where was I? Oh yeah, Sound Engraver. Thank you very much, Sound Engraver. Zaktan is here. Let's see. We have any comments? Zaktan says, when a controlling regime takes over, they usually try to erase history before them. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I, you know, I just didn't think I just didn't think about it happening. Not that I didn't think it would happen. It's just I didn't think about it happening. And so I just bought those books. And yeah, it's driving me up the wall. Sound Engraver also says the arrogance of these editors taking out words of writers and teachers. Well, here's the thing. They say in the book, in the introduction, that they got the okay from his widow to do this. And I'm thinking, okay, I would understand that you're getting permission from the estate to do it, but that's not to say the estate either understands what you're doing or understands, first of all, what Will Eisner was doing and therefore how much you're destroying what he was trying to convey. Because his arguments in his books, Will Eisner's, that is, they are deep and very much logical and sometimes, well, not say meandering, but convoluted in the sense that they are very concentrated on various aspects coming together to make a beautiful piece of art that you need to be able to follow strain after strain of everything coming together in a certain way. So if you don't understand that, if you're just part of, yes, I am his descendant, or I am part of his family, and yes, you can have my permission to do this, yeah, that's not enough. That's not enough. Anyways, I'm still ranting. How you doing, Tony? Tony is here in the chat as well. Should start putting some of these up here. Let's see. Scrolling down. Um, let's see. Michael is here and he says, censoring the past is what the NSPAD and the CCCP did. That's why I oppose and despise all forms of censorship. Well, yeah, it's just that, quite honestly, there is, I don't know. I don't know. I am on the fence about a lot of different things because a lot of people know that I don't see like something like the Comic Code Authority as being a bad thing because it gave incentive to a lot of people. First of all, it gave them another layer of free editing for the comics. And secondly, it was able to push people in a direction that they normally typically wouldn't go in as a comic writer or comic artist. And so I think it worked out well in the end. But at the same time, when I see stuff like this and see comics that are censored after they've been released, yeah, yeah, that's what really drives me nuts. So I guess my thoughts are not fully formed on the entire thing. Let's see. Scrolling down, Michael also says Marvel and DC are subsidized so they can lose as much money to as they want to, since daddy will always bail them out. Yeah, that's basically what it is. That's why they go for awards rather than cash as the currency that they're dealing with. Let's see. Vaz says recent digital comics not only often recolor the whole thing, they tend to change the problematic words. They can't change the original printing paper versions. Exactly. There is, yeah, I'm sorry, but scans, if you want actual digital, go to places that scan the actual comic. And that's the only way you're going to get the true feel and the true comic. Um, I don't know. I don't know if those places are legal. Some of them, old comics, the ones that are in the public domain, yeah, they're legal. But I don't know. To me, you're not going to get the same look. You're not going to get the same feel. You're not going to get and color. I just talked to Peter Samedi and John's Longbox just an hour ago on John's channel about color theory, just for a few minutes, and about how printing on newsprint and the exact colors need to blend together in a very specific way. So yeah, it's not the same thing. I mean, they can reprint it, but if if they're going to do that, Vaz, like he says here, change the entire thing by recoloring it, and then on top of that, remove possibly problematic words, then yeah, it's not the same book. It's not the same product. It's something completely different, and I don't want to have. I don't know. I don't want to have that in my collection. If we're talking about digital comics here, but still, if they were offering it as a book, as a physical copy of the book, I wouldn't want it. Simply as that. Simple as that. Taz is here. How you doing, Taz? Let's see. We're doing great. Zaktan says, let's see, scrolling down. If that was really the case, they can always add footnotes. Yes. Yeah, that was my original thought as well. You want to change something? Put footnotes in. If that's what you want to do, put a footnote in here or there to try to say something, or put an appendix in so that you can add stuff to it at the end saying, insert this here, insert that there. That's what they need to do. Let's put up some beautiful art in the background just to give you something to see once again. But yeah, Zaktan, exactly what they should be doing. Let's see. Nick Axe is here. Thank you very much for showing up, Nick. Nick is the artist of the beautiful covers for all three of my books right now, for Thomas Valiant, The Valiant Heroes, and for Crom the Destroyer. And he's also working on the chapters 2 and 3 of Crom the Destroyer, doing some beautiful art. If you want to see some of that beautiful art, go over to my Twitter. It is linked in the description, along with the campaigns for Crom the Destroyer, and you can go over there and see some of his beautiful art as well. So let's see. Scrolling down. Scrolling down. Michael says Clownfish TV talked about how they took out all the cigars from the DuckTales comics and changed all the guns to ray guns. I didn't know that, but I'm not surprised. It's ridiculous. Yeah. I'm sorry. If you want to set standards, here's the way that I should say it, I guess. For something like a code of conduct for what you're going to do while you're making it, okay? That's the product, and you'll say, yeah, I want to make my product under this specific set of rules, okay? And it comes out originally, that's the product. And if you don't want to adhere to those restrictions, and find another way to put your product out there. But when it comes out, that's your product. And so if you want to change it and do other stuff to it, and sort of, well, I mean, stuff like changing colors, maybe I really don't like it, but changing words, no, that's an entirely different product. You're selling something different. You're not selling the same thing. Don't pretend like you are. Tony says, frankly, I'm surprised he wasn't canceled for Ebony White. Yeah, characters like that. I agree. I was looking through the book, a year or more ago, thinking, how in the world does this guy actually still exist within comics realms, and someone who is the grandfather of comics and not been canceled? And that's all I could come up with, is because they're using him. Let's see, scrolling down. Alessandro is here. He says, I noticed that progressives, quote unquote, have an admiration for Buddhism. What do you think, RJ? Yes, I wouldn't say a definitive yes. I don't know that for sure, but I could see that very easily being the case, Alessandro. Just because from what I know, and admittedly, it's not very much, but from what I know about Buddhism, you can basically, well, let me put it this way. As a Easterner, you wouldn't see it this way, but as a Westerner, someone that is descended from any kind of thought process that comes from European ideas, they very much take into account Buddhism as simply a philosophy of power. And that's the way it's looked at, because the power of the universe, which is basically, again, in a Western way of looking at it, just a giant battery that runs the entire universe. That's an access to power. It allows you to have more and more access to power, the more and more you become, quote unquote, one with the universe. And these, quote unquote, progressive people are all about power. So yeah, I could see that very easily being the case. Scrolling down. Michael says, your rants are nice. I don't know about that, but I had to rant about this a little bit at the very least. Scrolling down. Manny says, I am curious for those books. Do you know who the original publisher was? Oh, I do not. It was a small publishing company, as far as I know, off the top of my head. Now, I should know this because I just talked to John's Longbox about it. He just bought one of the same copies of Will Eisner's books that I did, but he got it at a secondhand store, and he told me the publisher, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But if I do remember correctly, the small publishing company that originally published them and did so for years and years was the one started by Will Eisner, or had some connection to being started by Will Eisner, and was just a very tiny little publishing company. So that's as far as I remember. I could be wrong on that. Correct me if you find out find out that I am wrong. Put it in the comments. Let's see. Scrolling down. Oh yeah, Sound Engraver. Sound Engraver says, no worries. Degree in music education and music of composition. So yeah, things that I have very little to no knowledge about. So, that's why Sound Engraver does a great job of filling in gaps that I wouldn't even think about when I listen to her videos about some of the same things that I talk about. Let's see. Scrolling down. Zach Dan says, I can understand a publisher wanting to make a PG-13 version of media, but the original version should always be available. I suppose that would be the case. I mean, yeah, if you're going to put out, again, if you're going to put out two products at the original publication, fine. But if you're going to take that publication after it's become, a widely used, and I know that Will Eisner's books are extremely widely used in the making of comics, yeah, and then try to change them. No, I'm sorry. Let's see. Vaz says Frank Miller did a very good picture for the comic book Legal Defense Fund about censoring, showing a girl with band-aids on her eyes and ears and nose. I never knew that was Frank Miller. Yeah, I used to see that at the comic book shop all the time. Let's see. Scrolling down. Zektan says getting permission from the estate is very different from getting permission from the creator. Indeed, exactly what I was saying. Sound Engraver says, I decided to read comics for the first time per Professor Geek's recommendation. I started at Superman for all seasons. Now I'm reading Batman The Long Halloween. Oh, Sound Engraver. I would suggest. Now, I certainly do not trump in any way Professor Geek, especially for Sound Engraver, who is married to him. But I would suggest that you go a lot farther back than that. Oh, what would be like, I would say, quite honestly, and you can get this in trade paperback now with revised colors, of course. But I would suggest the greatest comic book run ever to be made was Walter Simonson's Thor. And it ends really with the Destroyer saga. And I don't even think that one was done by Walter Simonson for the art. But anyways, you go back to something like that. That's what I would say is a great run. Also, the 1980s, you could just pick late 70s to 1980s runs of X-Men, and you will find spectacular storytelling. Again, depends on what kind of storytelling you want and what kind of art you want. You can do the Paul Smith run, you can do the John Byrne run, you can go to the newer stuff for the 80s. Newer stuff of who is it? Oh, at the top of my head, what's his name? He has all the scratchy panels. Oh, for crying out loud. But anyways, usually um usually they're sectioned off, in my mind anyways, through artists. And besides that, we're looking at some of the beautiful runs of Neil Adams, all these kinds of things. There are so many books and series that I would say are much more wholesome, let's put it that way, than Superman for all seasons and The Long Halloween for Batman. Um, Not to say that those don't have their own charm, but they are ones that technically don't have that much of an impact on what used to be thought of the canon as the canon for Marvel, or for DC. Now, that might be, again, my own interpretation, but anyways. I should move on. There are so many great comics, and I suggest you keep reading Sound Engraver. Let's see. Alessandro says, that the works of progressives I have noticed that in the works of progressives, Lucifer is depicted as the angel of freedom. Well, yeah. These people, well, let me put it this way. Um, this is something that has been done for a long time. Um, the reason these people basically all have Trump derangement syndrome. Why? Because he beat out um, Hillary Clinton to become president. Hillary Clinton was an understudy of, oh, what's his name? The community organizer for the names just go out of my head whenever I want them to be there. Anyways, basically, she was the understudy of this community organizer, which basically went around selling communism through his community organization. And his major book that he put out was dedicated to the devil. So yeah, this goes back to that was the late 60s that came out. Someone I'm sure in the comments has put in his name already, and we'll get to that point. Let's see. Scrolling down. So yeah, this has been happening for a long time, Alessandro. Scrolling down. And oh, by the way, Alessandro, it's because it's all about power as well. Because you want power and rebellion, you go back to the devil. I just had a very weird exchange on Twitter about 4 months ago, 4 months ago, was I was making light of the fact that one of the new Archie comics had basically black magic in it, and about it was weird. It was weird. And it was written by, oh, uh, again, names go out of my head. It was written by that guy who um, Richard Meyer's always talking about, the transgendered one. What the heck is his name? Anyways, and then he somehow found out I was having this discussion on Twitter and tried to, pile on me. But anyways, it's weird. It's weird. I agree. And I had discussions with Wes over critical thinking about that exact topic. We Everybody I think who has a sound moral basis will see those kinds of stories and go, yeah, that's more than strange. Anyways, Michael said, da, 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 da. The estates only care about money. The token estate is a perfect example. As soon as the grandson died, they sold out to Amazon. Yeah, indeed. Mags Visaggio. That's who it was. Mags Visaggio, who was, I don't know his actual name, who was trying to pile on me because that's the book that this person wrote. And I was saying, this is ridiculous. Anyways, I didn't even know who wrote it, honestly, until they started to pile on. Magma Boost is here. Says, RJ, you've mentioned you don't like bande dessinée due to a lack of popular appeal. Can you expand on what you meant by that? I don't know. I wouldn't put it that way. I would put there is popular appeal for bande dessinée in Europe. But here's the thing. I don't know where you are, Magma Boost. Let me put it this way. If you live in America, you don't really understand that this is the way things are. And if you live in Europe, you don't understand this is the way America is. But America is very uptight. As compared to Europe, America is very uptight. Now, I don't care. I like America. And I like the fact that America is uptight. But, you get a lot of TNA, you get a lot of sex, drugs, and rock and roll in your bande dessinée, and you get a lot of that kind of feel to the stories. And so I don't think that most of the really heavy works that are quoted by people as saying you should read this for bande dessinée are accessible to a wide audience. I think they're accessible to a mature audience. And I think that if you want to be accessible in North America, even still today, you need to be accessible to all levels of education, all levels of what? All levels of understanding and all levels of ages. So you can't just make an adult book and or books with adult themes or things like that and expect it to go into the hands of children, which is what they're trying to do within mainstream comics right now. Or you can't make a book that is adult theme and expect to have a popular demand for it. You can't expand your audience unless you can try to throw a net over the entire thing. And the entire thing means everybody of every age. So that's why I think that Bond Desine, to me, anyways, don't have a popular appeal within America. Because American comics and the way American popular culture should be, we'll say, um, something that will be a runaway train if you want to get it in that direction. You have to make it for all ages. You have to, as far as I'm concerned. And Bond Desine just doesn't do that. And it doesn't do that because it's in Europe, and they don't have to do that in Europe. So anyway, scrolling down, Zach Dan says they could have voluntary comic codes to help market their books and their audiences can know what to expect. Yes, there was, honestly, there was, I can't remember, I think it was Dell Comics, back when the comic code actually came out. They said, no, we're not adopting the comic code. Why? Because we have our own code of conduct on how we create books. And they always put the Dell code, I think it was Dell, at the back page or the back cover of all of their books. So yeah, that has been done. Let's see, scrolling down. Sound Graver says Isaac Asimov's daughter and greenlit a major changes to the Foundation series. They are all fine with changing the source material, even families. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the thing. I don't. I don't know. I don't like this whole it's owned by the estate. What is the estate going to do with it kind of thing? I don't know. What can we do about that? Beats the heck out of me, but you just got to be careful. And that's why I think physical media is the way to go. Yes, yes. Let's see. Gordon Goodbrother is here, says problematic words. What comic books are these? Yeah. Uh-huh. And the funny thing is too about current comics that come out of like Marvel and DC, you get curse word, no, it's blanked out curse word after blank out curse word after blanked out curse word in the comics that are supposed to be for all ages. And I'm thinking to myself, because obviously these people don't think nor create good comics in the way that they're supposed to. That is to say, let's just go with the Will Eisner way or any other substantial way of making good comics. But anyways, if you're going to try to um if as a good writer, I'll say this as a writer myself, as a good writer, if you're going to try to sell your product to an expanded audience that includes everybody down to the youngest person who can read, you don't put that in your book. I don't care if you blank it out with funny letters so that it looks like they're cursing, but you don't know what they say. If you're a good writer, you find a way to do it better. You find a way to not censor your own book, your own words in the comic in order to say what you need to say. A good writer would find a better way. A bad writer will use cheap tricks. So, anyway, scrolling down. Puppet Productions is here. Says just popping in to endorse whatever you say this evening. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I wish people would do that in real life. All right, scrolling down. Final Fantasy fan says not only would they censor the past, they would also look up the past only then to omit all of it. Yeah. Oh yeah. These people that's one of the few saving graces that we have over these people. It's the fact that they're not actual fans of these things. They would just hunt through the past to find them. So since they're not actual fans, they're ideologues looking for something to destroy. They do miss a lot. So that's the one leg up that we have. Let's see. Scrolling down. Puppet Production says, I'm looking forward to your Thor book. Well, thank you very much. Just to let you know, if you weren't here for the first Puppet, the original, I don't know if you bought the graphic novel for the Valiant Heroes or just the floppies, but the graphic novel has now been expanded to, as I said, at the first 88 pages, and then I've added subsequent pages to some of the floppies as well. Scrolling down. Scrolling down, Gordon Good Brothers says Eisner's company was Poorhouse Press. Yes, that's exactly who I think produced them. Now that you say it, Gordon, um, I do believe that's who published his works. Although I don't know, I think that Expressive Anatomy, one of the three, is Expressive Anatomy for comics and narrative. I don't know if that was published by Poorhouse Press at all, because I do know that it was published posthumously when Will Eisner had died. So just give me 1 second here. I got to disentangle myself from some of these cords. Scrolling down, scrolling down. Zach Dan says, from a pop culture level understanding of Buddhism, they could see it as supporting collectivism and allowing contradictions as both and philosophy. Again, just pop culture level understanding. Well, pop culture level understanding is probably more than these people have for understanding of most things. If you're quote unquote progressive and you have multiple contradictory ideas going through your brain every day, destructive ones to say the least. But yeah, that's all they have is a cursory level understanding of things. And I'm not to say that I'm a wizard at knowing what Eastern philosophies have to say myself, but at the very least, I know that I don't know. Let's put some more beautiful comic art up in the background. Let's see. Just put some nice covers up here for you. I always love this Spectre cover. That's why I put it up here. Where? Oh, now I missed my place in the chat. Give me a second here, guys. Scrolling up, scrolling up. Find out where in the world I was. There I was. Zach Dan. Final Fantasy says if their documentary on Cleopatra is anything to go by, I guarantee you they'll do the same thing with Joan of Arc. Oh, definitely. They were trying to. I don't know if you know this Final Fantasy. They were trying to do the exact thing that you're talking about to Joan of Arc in a play. I don't know. It was a major play. I don't think it was on Broadway, but it was pretty major if it wasn't on Broadway. They were trying to portray Joan of Arc as basically in the progressive narrative fashion as a feminist and all this kinds of thing. So yeah, definitely. Scrolling down, scrolling down. That says rumor is that DC is rebooting their world under something like Marvel's Ultimate. I wonder what they will censor from the past. I'm okay with them ignoring the recent years, though. Well, if they do that, I think they're going in the wrong direction. I think, yeah, reboot might actually help clean things up once again, although it really destroys the whole everything that Crisis was about. But still, maybe it will help clean up a few things. But honestly, if you're going in the Ultimates direction, I think you're going in the wrong direction. I think you need to start pulling in younger readers at the same time as getting stories that older readers appreciate. Let's see. Let's see. Uh, I agree. I think starting there is too far forward. I'm not entirely sure what that is referring to. So let me scroll down a little more. Sorry, Puppet. If I misunderstood your comment. Sound Engraver says, one reason why I'm starting with those comics is because I'm not familiar with how to read comics. Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, doesn't the professor have a couple of moments to go over that with you? No, there's more to this comment. So it's an easier read for a newbie like me. Okay, I understand. But um yeah, I understand. Let's see. Let's see. So you're basically starting with one-off stories like the Superman stories so that you can see how things work technically before you delve into the story. Understandable. All right. Final Fantasy says specifically on how Joan of Arc joined and oh, and omit the fact that Joan of Arc is also a Christian. Yeah. Oh, definitely. They've already tried to do that. Alessandro says, RJ, if I remember correctly, you're a Godzilla fan. Do you think you'll ever write a kaiju comic? Huh. I don't. Let me put it this way. I don't know if I ever will, just because I will want to write every comic that I write in my world. I don't want to do like Richard Meyer or the other people and just write a story that's in a world and then another story in another world. No, every story that I write, I want to be in the same world. That's why Crown the Destroyer is the ancient past of the Valiant Heroes, the universe that the Valiant Heroes is in, or Thomas Valiant. So they're all joined together. And the thing is that one of the things about my world is that I'm trying to keep it from becoming so expansive that it's something like Marvel or DC. So there's very concentrated areas where you have, let's say, superhumans or things that happen that are unexpected, but a lot large swaths of the earth where this doesn't happen. And kaijus being tremendously large would kind of put a dampener on that way of thinking about things. Possibly. I don't know. It doesn't seem to me to fit exactly in. But if I could find a way to fit it in, sure. Let's see, scrolling down, scrolling down. It's not something I have planned. Let's say that, Alessandro. Da, da, da. Yes, Michael has a good comment here. Godzilla minus one was snubbed by the Oscars. Well, you know what? That might be a badge of honor at this point in time. All right, scrolling down, scrolling down. Da, da, da. Rules for Radicals, Zach Dan. Yes, thank you very. Saul Alinsky. Yes, that's who I was thinking of. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Saul Alinsky. Yeah. Um, Hillary Clinton was Saul Alinsky's understudy. Yeah, and Saul Alinsky is the one who wrote Rules for Radicals, and Rules for Radicals was dedicated to the devil, and it's basically the Bible for progressivism, starting back in the '60s. It's not the only one. There are several books to this Bible now, but uh, that's starting from a a very early source that has definite connections to people today. Scrolling down, scrolling down, scrolling down. Everybody's answering my question from, I don't know, 10 minutes ago. Thank you, thank you. Uh, Scrolling down, scrolling down. Da, da, da. Nope, let's see, let's see. Scrolling down. I'm trying to get past a few things that my bumbling and fumbling caused. Let's see, let's see. Oh, Tony has a comment here. Any opinion on the beef between Eric July and Ethan Van Sciver? Huh. Any opinion? I got plenty of opinions, Tony. Uh, that's what I usually say to people in real life. They say, I want your opinion on this. And I say to them, oh, I got plenty of opinions. Oh, I got plenty. uh, Quite honestly, don't care. Don't care. Don't care. Don't care. They want to fight amongst themselves. They can go ahead and do so. Um, I don't see how it helps comics in any way. I don't see how it helps produce comics in any way. I don't see how it gets Eric July to, um, you know, build his, let's say, his basis of knowledge to write a good comic book, nor does it help Ethan Van Sciver um, get his overdue comic books out there. So what do I care? I'm just doing my own thing. Yeah, I'm sure I could have plenty more opinions, but we'll move on. Scrolling down, let's see. Michael says, because of that beat, Ethan Van Sciver finally updated a crowd-funded book he hadn't updated in nearly 3 years and is 2 years late on. Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. That's just what I was talking about. Uh, I, I'm, I don't understand. I know that Ethan is a really busy guy and that, his art is very, very detailed and all that, but my book right now of the Valiant Heroes is what? Um 2 months late? Not even 2 months late. It will be 2 months late. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, I gotta get this out. This is not right. This is not right to my customers. I apologize profusely to all of my customers that have had to wait these 2 months for you to actually get the email saying your book is in the mail. So I don't know how in the world people can live with themselves being 2-3 years late and not fulfill. I just don't. It boggles my mind. Let's see. Let's see. Ooh, good comment, Bethel. Thor Thorgal can be read by kids over 12. Yes, indeed. If I remember correctly, it's been a while since uh, I always get Thorgal and Thanagar mixed up in my head. Thanagar book series is basically, I don't know, it's a copy of Conan in a different light. So someone basically did a Conan knockoff, which, I ain't throwing shade at anybody with my Crown the Destroyer, but that's what Thanagar was, not Thorgal. Let's see, scrolling down. Da, 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 da. Trying to find a comment. Let's see. That is for me. There's a lot of crosstalk in the chat that I'm trying to get through here. Excuse me for one moment. That Yeah, Michael, you're quite right. Swearing a lot isn't edgy, it's lazy. Well, it's lazy storytelling and it's lazy dialogue, if you ask me. Quite honestly, I just had to rewrite in the last couple of months. I had to rewrite one of the books. Um, it was I can give you the backstory. I'm trying to get to the end of the comments, but because we've been talking for about 50 minutes. But yeah, I had to rewrite one of the books just because one of the artists, I didn't give them enough information on some things and they went their own way. So I had to rewrite the entire thing to have it make sense. And it's really difficult to find, for comics anyways, and how much space you have and all that kind of stuff, a really good way to tell your story that is going to resonate with your audience sometimes. And so you don't want to waste any space. And yeah, it is lazy to use swearing because it's a waste of space. You're not giving your audience anything with that, quite honestly. Scrolling down. Da, da, da. Let's see, scrolling down. Yes, and Zach Dan says also swearing has diminishing returns. Yes, it does. Da, da, da. Scrolling down. Let's see. Michael says swearing sounds better in other languages than it does in English. uh, let's see. Yes, I could swear in other languages. uh, I'll give you a nice piece of Irish Gaelic. It's Pog Mahone. Now, I'm probably not saying it very well with my accent, but Pog Mahone means kiss my backside. We'll put it that way. Yeah, swearing sounds more lyrical than other. Let me put it. I'll say this, Michael. Almost every other language is more lyrical than English. Quite honestly, that's one of the things about English. Anyways, scrolling down. Da, da. Gordon Goodbrother says, making kids fill in the blanks of the blocked curse words in your writing is demoralizing. Yeah, I would agree. This is one of the things people don't. I don't know. Some people don't really get where I'm coming from when I say this, and this is in my personal life. But I used to work on a farm when I was younger, and farm hands, especially the ones that live on the farm and work on the farm, yeah, cursing like sailors has got nothing on farm hands, and I, just being around those guys day after day. We were working sometimes 80, 90, 100-hour weeks, but being with these guys all day, every day, when every second word that was coming out of their mouth was a curse word, it just grinds you down. It just is, I don't know. It's so disrespectful, lazy, and everything else that I can think of as a negative word, that it grinds you down mentally, it grinds you down spiritually. It makes your life so hard to get through. Quite honestly, I found. Anyways, let's see. Scrolling down. Tony says, RJ, are you a fan of Remo Williams, the Destroyer? I am very much a fan of Remo Williams. I love the Remo Williams books. It is a great character. Remo Williams is a great character. The thing was that early on, here's the thing. You never know. You never actually know about people that contact you. But I was contacted early on in my channel by the author at the time, because this was 5 years ago. The author at the time, or supposedly, I couldn't confirm this because we only had one conversation over email. He said he was the writer of the current Remo Williams books, and he loved what I was doing, and he wanted to congratulate me on talking about the things that I was talking about. And he basically is saying that, these are the kinds of stories like the Remo Williams books that he was writing and that he loved from his past that we need to get back to. And I agreed with him. So hopefully someone wasn't yanking my chain, because I didn't look too far into it besides that. But yeah, I haven't kept up on the modern authors of those books. Let's see. Alessandro says, RJ, do you know Lupin the Third? No, I do not. Is that? It sounds familiar, but the only thing I can picture in my head is either a manga or an anime. But I'm probably wrong, so I'm not familiar, I don't think. Let's see, scrolling down. Zach Dan says Godzilla versus the rampaging Thor. Well, the thing about the rampaging Thor is he's not a hero, so Godzilla would have to be the hero. Oh, I guess we could get two. These would be two villains fighting each other. So yeah, that could be a thing. Scrolling down. It would honestly. Okay. Zach Dan just gave me a really good idea. And I will have to revise my statement from earlier about writing a kaiju into my book, because we have Thor, and the Midgard serpent is a giant serpent that covers the entire earth. So that would be a kaiju. So yeah. Oh yeah, I probably will, because if I get very deep into the Thor mythology, then I don't know if I will. Depends on how well that character sells, because he's a tragic character, a Jekyll and Hyde character. Basically, Thor is the Jekyll, and well, Thor is the Frankenstein part of it, the Hulk part of the character, whereas the person that is attached to him, basically, like the old Donald Blake character, he is the good part of the character. So yeah, thank you very much for bringing that up, Zach Dan. Thank you very much. Michael says, RJ, you can just have the kaiju skeleton in the background of a museum in the Valiant Heroes. Well, Michael, beat you to that. If you read the Valiant Heroes, if you read if you bought and are going to read the Valiant Heroes, which I'm going to be shipping out in the next few months, hopefully in the next month, then yeah, that's already been done. So I guess I have included kaijus already. I guess I have. It was just a skeleton. But anyway, scrolling down. Let's see. Let's see. Scrolling down. Puppet says, I think the earliest comics to start with are Marvel books, 1962-ish. That's a good suggestion. Alessandro says, the kaiju can live on a lost island in the Pacific Ocean. Oh, trust me, Alessandro. I have plenty of plans for lost islands. We part of that will come up within a very minute part to start with, will come up in the Crown the Destroyer book. So scrolling down. Warren, the Archangel says, Saul Alinsky didn't start Lucifer admiration by morally questionable individuals, but he sure made it mainstream. Agreed, completely agree. It's been here since the beginning of time. You can go back to ancient history and find the stupid stuff, but yeah, he's one of the modern, we'll say, bullhorns for that kind of thinking. Let's see if I can find some more beautiful art. Oh, here's some Jusku stuff. No, in the background, just as I talk. So and then I lost my place in the chat again. Give me a second, guys. Scrolling up, scrolling down. Let's see. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody's comment. Alessandro says, you could base it on the public domain, the Dell comic Kona Monarch of Monster Island. I would go back, if I'm going to have a kaiju, like I said, it would go back to mythology. No probably about it. It would go back to mythology. Let's see. Zach Dan also says, a villain I can't remember said, when I want your opinion, I'll give it to you. I think a lot of people have said that over the years. Now, Gordon Goodbrother says, "What's your opinion on XYZ, RJ? RJ, how much time you got?" Wow. Gordon Goodbrother just nailed my entire personality to the wall. I'm sorry, I'm slurring my words because I'm laughing so hard. Ah, yes, you have just nailed my entire personality to the wall for everybody to see. Daz says, RJ, if Hollywood wants to collaborate with your comic characters, would you change anything from your characters if they want you to? I don't care about Hollywood. I honestly don't. I don't want to deal with people who I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't sell my characters. There's so much politics and well, you basically have to give up intellectual control of your characters for the possibility of them to make something of it. And I'm not going to do that. I'm just not. I don't care what they offer me for money. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this to make great comics because I love comics. Let's see. Let's see. Uh, uh, we're down. We're getting into the dregs of this conversation. The stream gets blocked in Ireland. I don't even know how many people still speak Irish Gaelic exact yet. Let's see. Let's see. Scrolling down. Scrolling down. Uh, da, da, da. Scrolling down. Scrolling down. Zach, no. Faz says the Tintin Captain Haddock had a very colorful and funny swear list. They even had a dictionary made out of it in the English translation. It wasn't as colorful. Yeah, if you want to make up your own funny swear words, then maybe that might have some kind of quality to it. But besides that, I don't know. I'm just in me in real life is I'm Jimmy Olsen from 1962. Gee Willikers. People look at me like I have two heads when I don't swear but use old fashioned language. But I don't care. Scrolling down, Alessandro says, in old Disney comics published in Italy, the authors always had fun, creative curse words using lofty and obscure words. What's the name of that poem? Oh, it's like the Jabberwocky, if anybody knows that, where it was basically makes up the most of the poem is made up words. You know, I quote the Jabberwocky every once in a while when I go glumphing around. Let's see. Scrolling down, scrolling down. Da, da. Uh, Scrolling down, scrolling down. Hopefully, I'm not missing anybody's comments because it seemed to not be for me. Zach Dan says, then we'll get a mixed version. Professor Thor is still a villain, but he teaches a college class too. Professor Thor. That's an interesting idea. Scrolling down. Let's see. Alessandro says, RJ, what is your favorite mythology? That is a difficult question to actually answer, Alessandro. Story wise, it would be Greek mythology. I love the Iliad and the Odyssey. I love the Argonautica, books like that, even Virgil with his Aeneid. And books like that, I just adore. And their storytelling qualities are so precise and so beautiful, especially if you read them in the ancient Greek. But that being said, I'm very, very much attracted to Celtic mythology. It simply does not read in a way that modern writers, modern readers, modern thinkers, anybody usually, unless you're steeped in how Irish language is constructed and used, or Gaelic even, because I do know some Gaelic and how it is constructed, but the entire way that they tell stories is so foreign that it's difficult to actually compare it with things. And so I love the characters within Irish mythology. It's just the storytelling, and I love the storytelling too, but it just doesn't, even though it has a uniqueness, which I love, I don't think it has the beauty of the Greek. So I would probably say the Greek would win out. Let's say Incubus Time Lord is here. How you doing, Incubus? Scrolling down, scrolling down. Oh, we're getting to the bottom of the chat. All right. All right. Cute Panther, says Zektan. And I think we will retire on that note after 1 hour and 4 minutes of me rambling on. Thank you very much, everyone, for showing up. And I am going to leave you with the opening trailer, the first trailer for Crom the Destroyer, and let everyone know that, yes, there are links in the description for my books. Let's put some, for just 2 seconds here, some of the beautiful art for Crom the Destroyer up in the background. Wait a minute. Nope, nope, nope. Where are we? Oh, here we go. Here's some of the new stuff from Jim O'Reilly and from Nick X. And once again, as I said, I want to thank everyone for showing up for my stream, even though I was ill prepared today and I was just ranting. And if you have any questions, again, we are going to be publishing and then sending out, hopefully within the month, the Valiant Heroes, and more updates coming on Crom the Destroyer. All right, I'm going to, as I said, leave you with the first trailer for Crom the Destroyer. Thank you once again, everybody, for showing up, and have a good night. Bye.
An age ago, the beating heart of our people was a king who knew only victory. He wanted nothing more than an honorable death on the battlefield. Yet, none could match him, and so he wandered the earth, becoming lost in time and tide. Then we too lost our honest purpose, while silk-clad men sat upon the throne. But tremble now, all cities that lay under the stars, for out of the shadows and mists of the land of promise, our courage has been rekindled, our heart has returned, and the world will burn.